Haha, I just hacked you. What's up with you? Why are you talking like that? Did you not get the memo? Oh, right, so we're doing the hacker thing again? Yeah, that was the idea. You do realize we've already done that before, right? I mean, yeah, but like, you know how difficult it is to come up with new ads time and time again while having to actually play the game to make videos about them, so they can't all be gems, okay? Sometimes you just have to make compromises. If you're so good at it, then you do it yourself, because I don't see you trying to brainstorm ideas for an ad over just playing games all the time. So, do we have any talking points? Yeah, let's just move on to that. If you care about protecting your online privacy, then let me introduce you to Surfshark VPN. A virtual private network, or VPN for short, is one of many tools in your arsenal to keep yourself safe on the internet. By creating a secure tunnel between you and your website of choice, you make sure that neither advertisers nor your ISP have any chance of snooping in on what you're doing. Not only that, but Surfshark VPN also changes your IP address to make you appear as though you were somebody else in a completely different place. In essence, you can make the internet believe that you are currently browsing from Australia even while comfortably sitting in Germany. That also means that you get to access content libraries that are exclusive to different places in the world, like checking out Netflix's UK offering when you already binged your way through the US catalog. And the best thing about it is that it's so simple to use, even I can navigate it without any trouble at all, and that on any of my devices. What, were you waiting for a punchline? I might not be the smartest person in the room, but you definitely can be by protecting your online privacy today, all the while saving some money. Get Surfshark VPN by following my link in the description to save 83% on your purchase and get 3 extra months for free just by using promo code Terios. So what are you waiting for? Open up a new and more secure internet for yourself by following the link in the description below. Thanks to Surfshark VPN for sponsoring today's video, and now, onto our standard programming. Now, if all you have seen from me are the videos I'm uploading, you might be fooled into believing that I am winning the vast majority of my games. But don't be mistaken, I lose matches of Overwatch more than I lose my motivation to go outside. The only problem is that, and many of you are going to be able to attest to that, losses can often feel very underwhelming. A Doomfist one trick here, a main tank diff there, and really nothing that'll be worth telling a story about. But if you were ever in doubt about that little factoid, let me put you at ease, because the placement match track record does not lie, my friends. I do, in fact, lose a lot of my games in Overwatch, and if you've been keeping up with the series during the last season, you'll know that this was inevitable. I kept on bringing up the fact that the matchmaker falsely placed me in a rank that is too high on pretty much every role on all of my accounts, simply due to the fact that your hidden matchmaking rating does not appear to decay even after years of inactivity. There was no way I could continue being so lucky as to getting carried time and time again. Of course, that doesn't mean that losing doesn't suck. I mean, granted, playing at 1 in the morning wasn't the greatest idea I ever had, but maybe this was my brain subconsciously trying to lower my skill rating because I felt guilty about constantly ending up in top 500 lobbies. Or maybe this was just me trying to chase an upload schedule that is seemingly impossible to maintain with how long these freaking videos take to make. You be the judge of that. Either way, only because I deserve to lose does not mean that the rest of my team does, and as such I always try my hardest to win, even if that means putting me in even higher ranks that I have an increasingly difficult time competing in. So by Jeff, I will not end my placements on yet another loss if I can help it, which brings us to today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, our story today takes place on Terios. Now, Terios is one of those maps that I often find myself struggling on. This game mode in particular is all about fragging out, which is great for anyone who wants to flex their mechanical skill. But for team players like me who lack that explosive sort of carry potential, it often ends up giving me trouble. Keeping that track record in mind, I may have started the game off on Brig, but don't worry my friends, I'll come to regret that decision in no time, meaning we won't be staying on that hero for long. Of course, this wouldn't be Ilias Runes without both teams running a Widowmaker, and if you are anything like me, the sound of fully charged Widow shots is the thing that your nightmares are made of. My Hammond, on the other hand, was willfully unimpressed by that and decided to engage in a staring contest with the opposing hamster rather than trying to pressure that Widowmaker. Considering our rather unorthodox composition and playstyle, I was suddenly left to assume the role of main tank, and I don't think I need to tell you what happens when the smaller hammer gets to meet the big one. While most of us were busy getting our faces smashed into a pulp, our Tracer was busy running circles around the enemy backline. I gotta say, even as a Zenyatta main, I am happy about seeing Tracer played more often, and even more so seeing her being played well. But unfortunately, without a solid tank lineup holding the front line, the couple picks that our Tracer collected wouldn't matter as the enemy Widowmaker continued to lay into us without a care in the world. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of the energy that is currently on display here, but I'm not sure that my Tracer and Hammond realized that the point they were trying to stall was already under the control of the blue team. My Zarya had since made the swap to Reinhardt, but our high mobility friends continued to get staggered while we were busy walking back to the point, which created a very awkward and very long period of time in which we were just kinda standing there. You can tell how little respect their team was was giving us because the enemy Hammond was very nonchalantly vibing up on high, knowing we couldn't effectively stop him even if he tried. But even after we finally regrouped, it was rather obvious that the enemy team was having the upper hand. Everyone on our team who decided to take their individual matchups ended up losing them, while our Reinhardt had trouble even getting on the objective thanks to an uncontested Zenyatta that melted him as soon as he dropped his barrier. Being the team player that I am, of course I was standing by his side, keeping him alive even in the face of a team that was mercilessly laying into him. But unfortunately, we bled so much manpower that it was only a matter of time until a puny little frontline followed suit. Every elimination we collected now was worth less than a consolation prize, while the price of admission to enter the frontline was our ability to regroup. And make no mistake, our voice chat was absolutely on fire during this match, but where I would hope for concise callouts, instead all my team had to offer was a collection of how did we lose this, in addition to the bickering about one another's hero choice. It should come to absolutely nobody's surprise that this lack of cohesion, as well as our poor planning and execution, ultimately cost us this round. And if you have seen the last episode, you might remember that during that session, I was not much in the mood of talking, though considering the fact that I was tired of losing, I began warming up to that idea.
Brig, can you go on? Nice.
Rush like Megalucio was the
Yeah, I think that might be better.
Oh, say.
So
Go
what now?
right. Go right.
Come. We'll stop if needed.
Now, I'm not entirely against the idea of playing either Ana or Lucio, but what bugged me was my team's indecisiveness. If we want to win this game, it matters less which characters we play and more how we play them. Though with that said, I would lie if I claimed that I wasn't enjoying getting to play Ana in a competitive match again. Some of you might not know that, but way back in the day, Ana actually used to be my main before I slowly transitioned away to becoming a Zenyatta one-trick. Anyway, it didn't seem like the enemy team was expecting our compositional change, and as much as I had to warm up on Ana before being able to clutch out any amazing plays, pumping ungodly amounts of burst healing into my teammates was apparently doing the trick to allow us to count ahead in the first team fight. More importantly than that, our voice chat was finally being used for its original purpose of calling out things that mattered over just complaining all the time. Seeing as how they lost in a direct confrontation, the blue team decided to go for a bit more of a poking approach prior to committing to a team fight. But contrary to the last round, we actually had a game plan.
You give me Nana this fight.
Wait, who's me?
Run. Can you give me?
Okay. The plan in itself wasn't horrible, except that I shouldn't have tried to cross over to the right side in an attempt to maintain line of sight to my tanks while denying LOS to the enemy McCree. Where you would usually expect a nano-boosted Reinhardt to absolutely tear through the enemy team, it was less about the damage boost it gave him and more about the damage mitigation, as Tactical proceeded to soak every single cooldown the enemy team had available. But while he did so, Alpha could use all of that space to destroy the opposition as though he was the one that was just given that nano boost. It really comes to show how much a DPS can do when given the opportunity, and it also shows how dysfunctional our tank lineup was in the previous round versus now, where our McCree could just casually walk all over the enemy team thanks to their performance. Though I am a wee bit jealous over the fact that the blue team immediately knew to avoid getting staggered, while our team had to lose an entire round to understand that concept. I wouldn't blame you for thinking that this is an entirely different match with entirely different players, where previously nobody said anything of value in voice chat while recklessly diving into the enemy backline. We were now discussing how to handle the enemy's next move while calling out every single cooldown and mistake we can spot. But as much as it may appear on the outside as though we are absolutely schooling the enemies this time, I can assure you that everyone on our team was on high alert. Reloading. Right anti.
Chill.
Play one.
Here's one of the many reasons why playing ranked has been such a challenge for me. Sometimes my ISP just randomly decides to stop delivering on the service that I pay them for, and that is more tilting than any Torbjorn one trick I could ever end up with in my game. Either way, lag spikes aside, our team continued their domination from start to finish on this round, which left me a bit confused. If the blue team absolutely stomped us on the first round, and we absolutely stomped them on the second one, does that mean the third one is going to be really close? Well, I guess there's only one way to find out. After two very one-sided rounds of Overwatch, Ilias Well will be the deciding map on which we finally settle our score once and for all. And as much as I was very tempted to swap to Lucio, our team really seemed to need the burst healing potential that Ana can deliver, meaning it wasn't me who swapped the hero. As long as we are on the same page about our game plan, I was certain that we could take home the victory, though we swiftly realized that the enemy team was not going down without a fight.
There ball. Let's swap the seat. Right, chill.
You untied.
Mine low.
I'm dead. Nice.
The enemies really just kicked it up a notch right from the get-go. This initial victory did not come without its sacrifices, and it appeared as though they were getting better at focus firing, which put a lot of pressure on me specifically. We have gained initial control of the capture point, but I was immediately worried about the adaptability their team had put on display. Also, I'm not saying that we're not a tracer kind of team, but let's just agree that this has not worked out all that well the first time around, and, well, the enemy Ashe definitely heard them zip around the backline, much to our detriment. Of course, the enemies would try to make use of that early pick, giving me ever more things to worry about. I gotta reload. I got Nana.
We have nade. Okay, Nano.
Give me.
I'm back in one. I'm gonna.
I'm down. Joanna's dead. Things were not looking great for us anymore. We won the second round because we started to play as a unit and stick together, but now our attention was split once again, and the enemy team had absolutely no trouble taking advantage of that. After only 40% capture percentage, we already lost control of the objective, and I can only hope that we don't fall back into our staggering habits. But it wasn't only the objective we lost control of, it was also the pace of the game. While we did manage to stage a cohesive attack, the enemy team had a solid answer for our push, and despite our best effort, we couldn't counter their countermeasure.
Go from inside and just speed out, okay? With B. Look for a grab here.
Let's go, I'm here.
Get the run.
The enemy team continued to overwhelm us not only with their ferocity, but also with their precision, because they always found ways to open up with a pick before splitting the rest of us in half to then begin the process of destroying us one by one. We just couldn't find an opening to enter the objective area without losing a player, let alone taking a disgusting amount of damage. In a sense, it really did feel like we were always playing at a man disadvantage, because none of our diving attempts ever worked out, allowing them to lay into us without a care in the world. But at that point, we didn't have time to swap heroes, much less our strategy. We had been on the stagger train once more, so just getting on the objective would require an act of desperation. Somebody has to touch you. We don't have ball.
Trace second.
I can't
Go
touch.
on the right. Can we move down?
Okay, I can. No, go me.
I'm still far.
I'm tight. Look for
I'm so far.
Right side.
Can you nano me?
Who's me?
Run.
Nice.
Yo, Ryan the back. Enter. -1, punch him!
Still one touch, someone touch.
Good effort.
It's unlucky. Tried to
GG's.
grab him. Still grab him.
You know what happens. Well, I guess I was wrong. Despite my best 142 in the morning effort, I actually ended up losing every single place and match after my first. I just felt it was important to highlight that no, I'm not infinitely lucky, and I actually lose more games off camera than you probably assume. I was definitely frustrated not being able to clutch out the win on Ana, because it really hammered home the fact that I was more rusty on her than I was willing to admit. But hey, dropping some SR should be the silver lining, right? After all, losing most of my placements should at least allow me to play in a rank more suitable for me and my current skill level, so let's see where Jeff decided to place me. It barely made a dent. Well, if that doesn't illustrate just how pointless place and matches are, then I don't know what does. At this point, I'm very tempted to level up a new account just so I can return to my Platinum Brethren where I belong. But oh well, I guess that concludes our story for today. And hey, if you enjoyed this episode, then do let me know by dropping me a like on your way out. Consider subscribing if you want to see more, and definitely ring that bell icon to not miss out on my next upload. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and until next time, peace!